What's up, everybody? Welcome to another World Cup preview. The focus today is on Japan. Before I jump in, be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on YouTube so you don't miss the rest of the World Cup previews, all the other content I put out every single week. And you can find my written content both on Substack, touchlinetalk.substack.com, and on Medium. So go check that out as well. As I said at the beginning, we're continuing in Group E onto Japan. This is World Cup appearance number 7 in a row for Japan, made in 1998, 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018. That is Japan's World Cup history, but Japan has made a habit of showing up every World Cup in the past couple decades, 2022 no exception. Best finish, round of 16 every 8 years, 2002, 2010, 2018. To get to Qatar and continue their string of consecutive World Cup appearances, Japan breezed through the second round of Asian Football Confederation qualifying. In the third round, took 22 points from 10 games against Australia, China, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and Vietnam. That was good for second in that group to secure one of the automatic spots for this World Cup. Names to know on this team. First one I want to talk about is Junya Ito. Currently plays in Ligue 1 in France. He was the only player with at least 5 goals and 5 assists during qualifying for this team. He had 6 goals, 7 assists. There are players who score more goals. I'm going to talk about one of them in a second. But when you talk about creativity, about kind of more on the wing, not necessarily sort of your typical number 9, but more of that creative player who's going to create some chaos and is not just a pure goal scorer. That is Junya Ito for this team. He brings that sort of added dimension to the attack. He is vital. And this guy simply produces goal involvement. He just moved to Ligue 1 with Reims. Before that, he was playing in Belgium with Genk. In his last 2 seasons with Genk, he had 18 goals and 23 assists combined in the league over those 2 seasons. Whether it's goals, whether it's assists, he gives you both of them, but he is making things happening and helping his team put the ball in the net, and he does it on the international level as well. Second guy to mention, perhaps the best known player on this Japan team, Takumi Minamino. I talked about more of your pure goal scorers. Minamino falls into that category. 10 goals and 4 assists during qualifying. Those 10 goals tied for the team lead. Minamino, you might have heard of him from his time at Liverpool. He made 55 appearances. He joined during their Premier League title-winning season, scored 14 goals in those 55 total appearances for Liverpool. Was never a regular starter. Was playing some of the Champions League games if they had already clinched a spot in the knockout round, for example, or some of those squad rotation games. But Minamino earned a reputation as one of those guys. Yes, he didn't play very often, but Jurgen Klopp has spoken about this. Jurgen Klopp will tell you he delivered when he was called upon for that Liverpool team. It was just an unfortunate situation where he was brought in to be a depth piece because you weren't unseating that front 3. And then when it became time to shake up the front 3, you're bringing in Luis Diaz, you're bringing in Darwin Nunez, which ultimately led to Minamino leaving this summer for Monaco, again in Ligue 1, to get more consistent playing time. But he will always be part of this Liverpool team. He played an important role, even if it was a smaller one. And again, 14 goals in 55 appearances. When he got the opportunity, he delivered, and he scored some important goals in there as well. He has, not to the same degree as Divock Origi, who scored some of the most important goals in Liverpool history, but Minamino delivered when he got the opportunity for Liverpool, now at Monaco, and one of the key players in attack for Japan. The third guy, I could not bring myself to mention anybody else, Yuto Nagatomo. Yuto Nagatomo has played every second of not the past World Cup, not the past 2 World Cups, but the last 3 World Cups, and is still going strong for Japan and at the club level. It is absolutely remarkable. He is still doing this now in his mid 30s. He also, by the way, has produced an assist from that left back position in each of the last two World Cups, contributed some goal involvements during qualifying, and also has 170 Serie A appearances with Inter Milan. That's where he spent a majority of his career. Now he is back playing in Japan. But that is just one of the most impressive accomplishments I have seen coming across all of this research I have done for this World Cup. Is a outfield player who has not left the field in 3 consecutive World Cups and is in terrific position to make it to a 4th one. I see no reason why Nagatomo is going to be left off this team, assuming he is healthy, and he is probably going to play a key role in a 4th World Cup for Japan, which is absolutely incredible, so I couldn't go without mentioning him. In terms of a breakout star, my choice is Ritsu Doan. Ritsu Doan has not played a major role over the past 4 years for Japan. He did make the 2019 Asian Cup roster. He scored twice in that tournament as Japan got to the final. Only 4 appearances in qualifying, but he did contribute an assist. The reason I picked him, though, is sort of twofold. One, in 2022, as qualifying has sort of wrapped up and you started getting into World Cup preparation, he has become a much more central figure in this team. He is getting called in consistently. The second is, I don't know how you leave this guy off the roster, and because he's having his breakout at the club level. He joined Freiburg in the German Bundesliga from PSV in the Netherlands over the summer. Doan is starting consistently for a Freiburg team that, as I'm recording this, is sitting there right near the top of the Bundesliga and is already through to the knockout stage of the Europa League, and Doan is playing consistently and producing in both tournaments. This is a team that is not supposed to be able to balance a run at a Bundesliga title with a run in Europe's second competition, and yet here they are. They are one of the surprises of Europe this season. Ritsu Doan is a big part of that. So he's having it sort of all come together for him on the club level. It's resulting in a much better opportunity, sort of much better international situation heading into this World Cup. So he is my pick for a breakout star because he fits all the criteria and could very well end up having a spectacular tournament for Japan. It's what he's doing at the club level. He's picked a perfect time to really put himself in this perfect spot club-wise. Now, he's just got to do it on the international stage for Japan, but I really do think he's going to get a chance to shine in Qatar. So Ritsu Doan is my breakout star. The bottom line with this Japan team, the reason for optimism is that they give themselves a chance every time they show up to a World Cup. They played 11 games in the past 3. Just 2 of those have been decided by multiple goals. And you might remember it took Belgium stoppage time to actually knock them out in the round of 16 in 2018. Whether it's a draw, whether it's a 1-goal loss, whether it's a win, nobody wants to play this team, and that is one of the biggest compliments I can give. They are so well drilled. They know exactly who they are, exactly what they want to do, exactly what everybody's job is, and they are able to execute at a high level. And that is something you don't see very often on the international stage. It is so much more difficult to get a team to be cohesive and operate as a unit when you see them, 4 or 5 times a year for a couple weeks, and then they go back to 15 different club systems, 20, 30 different club systems, and then you got to sort of reintegrate everybody back in, and players are injured, and you're bringing new faces in every single time you get an international break. You don't get to sort of drill day in and day out and implement a system the way you do when you're at a club. So when you do have countries like Japan who are so cohesive and know exactly what they're trying to do and so in tune with each other, it makes them incredibly dangerous at a World Cup. And it allows you to overperform based on the talent you are bringing, and that is what Japan consistently does. Sort of the flip side or the next step to this is, and what my big question is, can they get the statement win this time? And I ask this for two reasons. I ask this because it might take that to get out of a group, because you have Spain and Germany there. Japan got a tough draw. I would have them getting out of most groups. They happen to end up in one with both Germany and Spain in it. This other reason I say this, though, and why I'm so intrigued by this aspect of Japan, is when you go back, and I mentioned all of the games where they've either drawn or lost by a goal or won, 9 out of the last 11 at the past 3 World Cups, what Japan has not been able to do is beat the teams that have a significant talent advantage against them. Japan has made a living on performing and taking points off of teams that are comparable or worse from a talent perspective. They have showed up and been competitive with some of the bigger teams. They were phenomenal in that Belgium game. Very, very nearly found a way to take it to extra time. But at the end of the day, they came up just a little bit short. And so not only are you going to need to probably take some points from Germany or Spain in the group stage to even get a chance to get to the knockout stage, but when you get to the knockout stage, I talked about this at the beginning, round of 16, 3 different times, including 2018, never gotten past that. The next step is, can you go get a win against a team that is better than you on paper? That's what Japan is trying to do at this World Cup, and they certainly can. I absolutely love this team. Like I said before, they are one of the most well-drilled, most intelligent teams in the world. They are going to make you beat them. They are not fun to play against, and they made the U.S. look really bad and exposed a lack of a clear game plan and an inability to execute, because they showed up, knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they consistently executed at a high level. They will expose teams that are not prepared. But, some of these players I mentioned, Takumi Minamino is the goal scorer for this team, the biggest name probably on this team. And Takumi Minamino was a role player at Liverpool and is now playing for a good, not great League One team. Right? You don't have this world-class difference maker. You've got to make up for it in the collective. And Japan has done a terrific job of doing that. But is it enough when you get to a round of 16 and you're not playing those teams that Japan has done such a good job of producing against at these past World Cups? It's when it's the Belgiums of the world, the Spains, the Germanys, the Englands, the Brazils, whoever it might be. Can you get that upset? Can you get that big statement win and not just get to the round of 16, but actually give yourself an opportunity to go even farther? Because I look at this, and do I think they're going to get out of the group? No. Not because they're not capable, just because I don't like this draw. They got really unlucky. Would I be shocked? No, absolutely not. If Germany can do what Germany did in 2018, Germany can do that again in 2022, and Japan is absolutely a team that will expose Germany if Germany doesn't come ready. And if Japan finds a way to get through this group, a deep run is not out of the question. If they can get that first win in the round of 16, maybe you get yourself a more fortunate draw. Maybe you just catch a couple breaks. I could absolutely see a world in which Japan ends up in the quarterfinals. I've been that impressed, and they consistently show up at the World Cup, which is something you can't say about that many countries. I am a big believer in these teams that you know exactly what you are getting. The question ultimately is, you know what the floor is. You know Japan is going to show up. Can you increase that ceiling, raise that ceiling a little bit more, and find a way to not just hold your own against some of the best teams in the world, but actually get that statement win against them and give yourself an opportunity for a run. That's what Japan is trying to do here in Qatar. This is a team worth paying attention to. Can't say enough good things about them. We're just going to have to see if there's ultimately enough talent to get to that sort of next stage and not just reach the round of 16, but actually win a knockout stage game. That's all for Japan. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.